Richard. Kuklinski was seen by his neighbors as a good husband and father. He worked as a cartoon designer for a Hollywood studio, earned a decent salary, and was a decent white-collar worker. Richard has a beautiful wife and 2 lovely daughters. Whenever their daughter celebrates her birthday, their family usually invites many of their daughter's classmates and guests to get together. His 2 daughters are very proud to have such a good father. But what everyone never expected, including his wife and daughter, was that Richard was a cold-blooded professional killer. He did cartoon design at the film company, but it was just a cover he made up. He has his own office, or studio, but that's for receiving clients. Richard's customers have a second line. That is, if someone wants to find Richard to kill someone, they must go through the second line, pay the money with one hand, and deliver the goods with the other. When paying the money, the customer pays half of the deposit and the photo of the killed target, and the rest of the money is paid after Richard kills the target. In this way, Richard never missed. On the one hand, because the customer does not see Richard directly, there is a middleman in the second line, and when the delivery is made, if the customer dares not to pay the remaining payment, the customer himself faces the possibility of being killed. On the other hand, the police and the FBI have never been able to solve Richard's case because Richard's way of killing people is relatively unique. He usually tails after his target, and when the target is released, when anyone has a person in a secluded place, he goes up and slashes his throat unexpectedly. After the subject's death, he placed the subject's body in the trunk of the car and drove it to a large frozen warehouse somewhere in the suburbs. The bodies of all the killed are frozen in this warehouse. When he had free time, Richard went to the warehouse, sawed the frozen corpses into small pieces with a chainsaw, packed them, drove them out to sea in a pavilion, and sank the pieces of the corpses to the bottom of the sea to feed the sharks. When the police and FBI in the United States solve a criminal homicide case, they must find the victim's body. With the corpse, it is possible to determine when and how the victim was killed, and all other clues to solve the case. If there is no body, many cases are reported missing. Because a person is missing, it is likely that after a few years, that person will be found or appear again. Therefore, once a case is reported missing, it usually becomes an unsolved case, and the FBI gradually loses the motivation to pursue the case. Richard knew about this police strategy, and all his victims did not leave the bodies. Richard's last mistake was when a mafia boss asked Richard to kill an opponent. Richard was on contract, but this customer, he will not pay the remaining amount. In a fit of rage, Richard did the underworld leader too. As a result, Richard became the target of all the members of the underworld. But even so, they couldn't kill Richard. In the end, they gave the FBI the methods and clues of Richard's killing. FBI agents disguise themselves as Richard's clients, make contact with his second line, and finally find out who is hiding behind Richard. Until Richard was arrested and imprisoned, his wife and daughter still couldn't believe that he was a cold-blooded killer. According to Richard's own confession, more than 100 people were killed by him, but police estimates the number of victims far higher. Hollywood turned it into a crime thriller based on the real story above, and named it Iceman. With the Richard case above as a foreshadowing, here's another true story I heard from a friend. There is a couple from Beijing who immigrated to New York. The woman's sister was in New York many years earlier, got married, and had a wealthy family. But when the couple arrived in New York, they had no education, and they were old enough to go to school, so they could only work in Chinatown. The part-time job is very hard, and then they see that the woman's sister's family is very rich, and the poor couple mourns, and the couple has a small quarrel for every 3 days and a big quarrel for every 5 days. After a few years like this, seeing that there was no time for the day of part-time work, the woman wanted to find another way. It is mainly the woman's sister, who is brave enough to find a husband with good conditions while she is still young. The man also knows about this. Just when the woman was frequently dating other men, suddenly one day the woman disappeared. The woman's sister immediately called the police. Because do not know the woman was alive and dead, the police passed the case to the FBI. The FBI has been following the man for a long time, supposedly for more than 2 years, and there are still no clues. Later, the FBI talked to the man, and the FBI said, We know that you killed your wife, but as long as you admit to committing the crime and point out the method of committing the crime, we can give a light sentence." But the man did not agree to cooperate with the police. The woman's sister approached the FBI several times and asked the FBI to arrest the man. The FBI said that there was no body on the woman, and we could not investigate and close the case. Everything was speculation. Because this matter became an unsolved case, it was later rumored in the Chinese circle that the woman's sister would also kill the man and avenge her sister. One day, the man was working in a restaurant, and he answered the phone and went out. He went out and never came back. A Chinese worker at the restaurant said, "It looks like it's a call from an acquaintance. But who made it? Only the police know." The man also disappeared and became a headless, unsolved case. My friend's mother and the missing man's mother had been hospitalized in the same hospital in Beijing, and the man's mother told her that she has the only one son. Since her son and daughter-in-law went to the United States, they are gone, and the old lady became a lonely old lady. I wrote this story to tell everyone that there are many disappearances in the United States, and they often cannot be solved. Everyone should be cautious when making friends, be careful when going out, get along with others, and harmony is precious. Dear friends, this video has ended. Zhang will play a video with a completely different theme in a few days at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget to like and subscribe before leaving. Thank you, everyone.